Hello, this is Greg Moss from First Class Computer Consulting. In this video, we're going to import data into OpenERP 7.0, and we're going to do this in this video using a PostGRES direct import method. In a previous video that you can look up, we use the XML RPC method, which is great if you're doing a handful of records, but if you're going to be importing thousands of records, you'll find that method far too slow for most applications. So let's get started. I've just opened up a blank document here. I'm using the Zeus editor, but you can use even Notepad. Any editor will work. So we start with pulling in the dependencies we need, and we're going to have to pull in CSV, and because we're going to be talking to PostGRES, we're going to have to pull in the library for it as well. Now we're going to create a connection string to hook up to your database, and you're going to want to put the name of your database in here that you use for OpenERP, and the user accounts in this case are not going to be the OpenERP user accounts, but the actual database accounts. So these are my logons and passwords that we're using for this demonstration. And after setting up the connection string, we're going to actually create a connection. Using this command, and after we connect, we're going to want to create a cursor. A cursor will let us actually work with data inside of Python. Now in this case, we've hooked up to the database already and we've got a cursor, so let's open up our file that we're going to use to read in the data. So this is a CSV file in this case. We're using the same data as we did in the other video. I'm going to let you take a look at it here. So it's basically item, number, a description, and a price for the product. We're keeping it real simple for this tutorial. This is going to open up that file, and then we do our for loop to loop through the data set here. And just like in my last video, I like to print out each row of data when I'm testing out the script so I can watch it process, make sure everything's okay. Now this basically here at this point is a direct SQL statement. So if you know SQL, this is going to be real easy because we're just going to insert a record into the product template database. So we're going to build the statement. And we're going to get our name and our standard price, list price. So these are the same variables we used in the other video for the most part. I'm putting them in the same order. Now that backslash there allows us to continue this string on the next line. Unfortunately, you need to keep the indentation the same because of how Python handles indentation. Probably a Python super expert out there knows some ways around this, but this is the way I'm going to do it for the demo. So these are all the fields we're locating in. Now there's one extra one here. Actually, there's two extra ones that were not in the previous video. It's the supply method and sale OK. Now the reason is that when you go through the object relationship model, it's going to automatically plug in some defaults that you don't get when you go in directly through PostGRES. So those two fields are required. Now actually the sale OK isn't required, but your products won't show up if you have your can sell filter on, if you don't set that. So now I'm going to start plugging the values in, and so use a single quote to wrap the string. The double quote ends the statement, and then here's where we're going to plug in our row from our CSV file. So that's going to plug in the description there, and then we want to end the insertion and then end the string that way. we're going to do another line continuation here so it doesn't get too long. And here we're going to include the price. And we wrap this one in a string function because we are inserting the price into a string. We have to convert it from a number. And when you write your own import routine here, you're probably going to want to have some comments and take the time to structure this a little better. But for this example, this will show you how to get started. That true is the true that applies to the sale underscore OK. So we've basically matched up all of our fields with all of our values, and then we want a returning on here with a variable because we are going to have to use the template ID that comes back after this insert in order to tie in the product. Okay, so now that we have our string, we need to actually execute it. And so we're going to execute it inside our cursor that we set up earlier. And then we're going to commit that statement on the connection. Now to retrieve the ID that we just generated, we use this command, cursor.fetch 1 and the 0. If you were returning multiple values back here, you can use this index to grab all the values you need to grab. And so now, like was mentioned in the previous video, the way that OpenERP handles things is first you set up a product template, and then from those templates you actually make products. So this insert here will actually insert the product based on that template that we just made. The default code, that's like usually typically your item number that you're going to have in your data, and you're going to want to set active to true. This valuation field is another one that we didn't need to specify in the previous demo because the ORM, or the object relationship model, will automatically fill that in, the default value at least. We do another line continuation, and this time again the template ID is a number coming back, so we have to wrap that in a string, and our comma will separate our values, and here we want to plug in our item number, and we want it active, and the default valuation manual periodic we'll use. And so that's our second statement string. We go into our cursor again and execute that statement, and then we commit that statement. And this is essentially the code as just written out that you'll need to insert products from a CSV file. So now let's save it. And I've been saving my import routines just inside the server directory to make it easy to find all of our packages and know where they all are. So I'm going to say import, I'll say PostGRES import. Bring up our command window here, and I haven't debugged this yet because we're intentionally going to just run it, and if there's any problems we'll fix them. And there wasn't any problems. Now look how fast that is. If you go back and look at the previous version that we wrote that was in the object relationship model, it was adding about 1 every second. This just added about 3,200 records in probably less than 10 or 15 seconds. So let's pull up the product list, and there we are. And just that fast it added in 3,269 products. So you can see the bottleneck for speed really isn't Python or reading the CSV file or PostGRES. It's just that object relationship model is very, very slow for importing data. And so this gives you an opportunity to get around that speed limitation. And we pretty much always do our imports using this method for performance reasons. Just a couple of warnings though, you're going to want to turn off the server, the OpenERP server, if you're doing this with any kind of production environment, to make sure that nobody is getting in the way of those entries. You're going to want to double check your field values and your relationships between your tables as you get into more complex import routines. You're going to have a lot more potential to break something using the PostGRES method. Unfortunately, for speed, that's really the only way to go. So that wraps this up. Hope this video is a help, and please click the like button. Thanks for watching.